आज खाली
यहाँ पर लगा हुआ है।
क्या हुआ, उसको डायरेक्टली ऐड किया क्या फिर?
मैंने अभी के लिए डायरेक्ट ऐड किया बाकी दफे नहीं कहूँगा। अमृत सारा ठीक है? हो गया? कुछ अगर डिस्कनेक्ट होता है या फिर साउंड पीपल बिकॉज अभी स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ है इसलिए आप
हाँ मैं
आप ट्राई करो। ये आपने कनेक्ट किया वहाँ पर उनका मेन होता है ना।
वन में गया ना
वन में जा रहा है
हाँ
होटल का सोर्स कहाँ पर डायरेक्टली कनेक्ट करके करता है
Oh, you know what has happened? I know. ये यार केबल क्यों है?
यहाँ पे क्या है वहाँ पे नहीं निकाली
Yes. Namaskar. I hope you had a restful night and are looking forward to today's events. Logistics, it may be difficult for the caterer. They may refuse to serve if we don't have. We have two. One is the band, and the second one is the tag. So please make sure you and your family is wearing a name badge as well as the wristband. We will again open our registration table at 10 o'clock outside this facility or this hall. So anyone who was not able to register yesterday, they came in late, can register outside. At 10 o'clock, we'll open the table again for registration. All right, we'll let Vinti take on for the next.
Namaskar everyone.
अब दिख रहा है ना?
So we're going to begin our KP Youth Shaivism event, and I will give a brief introduction about what this competition is really about. So our mission as Sharda Beep is an initiative to produce content, especially by the KP Youth, pertaining to historical, cultural, religious heritage of Kashmiri Pandit community. Our 2017 KP History Contest held at KOA USA East Coast was the first attempt in that direction. You can visit our website for more information. This year's contest topic was Kashmir Shaivism 101. The kids were asked to produce a video using the comparison technique to learn about Kashmir Shaivism. They had to compare dharmic traditions with Abrahamic traditions. For example, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, which came out of India, with Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, which came out of the Middle East. So, as you will see, our kids have done a phenomenal job, but due to time constraints, we can only pick the 5 top videos. All videos, though, will be available on our website, so we can now play the top 5. Can everyone please quiet down for these videos? Thank you.
God will judge you for your sins is a commonly heard phrase. In Christianity, people are believed to be born sinners. Genesis 8:21 states, "The intent of man's heart is evil from his youth." On the other hand, dharmic religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism believe in reincarnation and view the journey of a soul over many lifetimes. The ultimate goal of is to achieve moksha, which is a release from the cycle of reincarnation. This goal leads dharmic traditions to promote, which is the goal of pleasure. These 4 aspects are called the purusartha, which translates to the object of human pursuit. Hindus also believe in karma, the universal law of cause and effect, that controls one's destiny over the course of many lifetimes. In Abrahamic religions, which often have a single founder and a single holy text, God is seen as an unreachable, almighty figure who takes a human form. In dharmic religions, God is a supreme being who takes many avatars. There are also many gurus and sadhus who help others with their spiritual journeys. Time increased awareness and a higher level of consciousness. Life is seen as a constant process, filled with ups and downs, to become one with the supreme being. In Abrahamic religions, life is a test, and the results are a little more important than your last calculus exam. This is why many followers of Abrahamic religions attempt to convert those of different faiths. They believe that people who worship a different God cannot be saved. This goal of religious conversion has been utilized as a facade to mask many other motives throughout the course of human history. Nevertheless, that is the original reason for Christian missionaries and the Islamic concept of dawah, or summoning others to Islam. Dharmic traditions believe that there are many paths to find out the one truth, so there is no need to force religion upon anyone else. They also believe in the concept of ahimsa, or non-violence, which was famously used by Mahatma Gandhi. Abrahamic religions tend to promote certain values, such as achievement, success, and evangelization. However, dharmic religions tend to focus on mindfulness and acceptance. Abrahamic scriptures encourage people to change, inspire rebellions and revolutions throughout the course of human history. Hinduism is one of the most difficult religions in the world to understand. One of the reasons for this is that over time, the role of Hinduism evolved and adapted in India to the point where it became inextricably linked from Indian culture and society. In fact, the Spanish word for a person from India is Hindu. This shows just how closely linked Hinduism is to India. Today, we are going to focus on two subtypes of Hinduism, Kashmiri Shaivism and Vedanta. The word Vedanta can be literally translated to mean the end of the Vedas, or alternatively interpreted to mean knowledge is the end goal. This is in essence the philosophy of Vedanta, the search for self-knowledge and the knowledge of God. There are many types of Vedanta, including Advaita, which is non-dualist, and Dvaita, which is dualist. Dualism is a religious concept in which God is separate from individual souls and the world. In Vedanta, the Supreme Being is known as Brahman, and he commonly takes the three forms of Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. The Supreme Being is infinite and all-encompassing. The fundamental text of Vedanta are the Upanishads. One story from the Upanishads explains the non-dualist theory well. This story is a conversation between the great sage Udalaka and his son, Shvetaketu, who wants to know more about the Supreme Being. Udalaka tells him, "Place this salt in water and bring it here tomorrow morning." So the boy does. The next day, his father asks, "Where is that salt?" The boy replies, "I do not see it." Udalaka tells him, "Drink the water. How does it taste?" Svetaketu replies, "Salty, father." His father says, "Try a drop from the bottom of the cup." His son replies, "I taste salt everywhere." And so Udalaka explains to his son, "It is everywhere, though we do not see it. Just so, dear one, the Supreme Being is everywhere, within all things, although we do not see it. There is nothing that does not come from it. It is the truth, it is the Self-Supreme. You are that, Shvetaketu, you are that." This story demonstrates the invisible, ubiquitous nature of the Supreme Being. Moving on to Kashmiri Shaivism. Kashmiri Shaivism is an ancient type of Hinduism that originated in the 1st century. After lying dormant for hundreds of years, it was revived in the 20th century by Swami Lakshmanju. Kashmiri Shaivism is a non-dualist Hindu tradition, meaning it believes the Atman is part of the Supreme Being. In Shaivism, the Supreme Being is known as Shiva. The one divine consciousness is all that has ever existed, is existing, and all that will ever exist. Shiva is infinite and everywhere. The monistic philosophy of Kashmiri Shaivism is called Pratyabhijna. This states that everything is Shiva, and when this fundamental reality is recognized, one achieves eternal bliss. According to Kashmiri Shaivism, there are 4 ways to achieve moksha. Anavopaya, the method of the body, Saktopaya, the method of the mind, Sambhavopaya, the method of consciousness, and Anupaya, the methodless method. The journey of the Atman is a process to awaken and realize the soul's true nature as part of Shiva. Because of this, Kashmiri Shaivism teaches us to respect everyone, because we are all Shiva. You, me, even that annoying neighbor who keeps joining your Wi-Fi are all part of the Supreme Being. Every individual is believed to have a Nila Bindu, which translates to blue pearl. This is a point of pure light that is within each person and forms our core identity and innermost self. In Vedanta, the world is an illusion. This illusion, or Maya, is what keeps you from realizing your oneness with Brahman. The great sage Sankara used an example of a rope and a snake to illustrate the concept of Maya. Walking down a dark road, the material world, Prakriti, contrasts with the consciousness, known as Purusha. Prakriti and Purusha are dependent on each other. These are 2 tattvas, or elements. In Vedanta, there are 25 tattvas. In Kashmiri Shaivism, there are 11 additional elements, for a total of 36 tattvas. Both Vedanta and Kashmiri Shaivism promote karma yoga, but in different ways. Vedanta believes karma yoga is yoga in action. This means performing all of the actions of daily life without expecting any being and universal being. Vedanta explains that individual being is manifested only when the universal being is reflected in the mirror of the individual intellect. They say that universal being is reflected in the intellect, or buddhi, and that the reflection becomes the existence of the individual being. Kashmir Shaivism, on the other hand, does not agree with this. In their eyes, the universal being is absolutely pure and perfect, while the individual being is filled with imperfections and covered by veils. Therefore, it is not buddhi that will reflect the universal being, but rather it is the universal being that will reflect the buddhi. It is the purer and more refined reality which will take the reflection of that which is less pure. So what's my take on all this? I believe that, like it or not, religion is a powerful force. It has the power to divide, and it has the power to unite. Religious harmony can only be achieved through interfaith conversations. Oftentimes, religion becomes mixed up in politics and becomes muddled as a result. Religious ideals often become idealized, while political goals become realized. It is important to recognize that while religion can be incorporated into every aspect of daily life, it should not be used as an excuse to fulfill personal motives. Acceptance, which is a fundamental aspect of Kashmiri Shaivism, will lead to peace. Shaivism is an important part of the long and storied history of Kashmir. It was an important contributor to the development of Kashmiriyat. Despite the diaspora of Kashmiri Pandits across the globe, we are all connected by a common bond of ancestry and homeland. Our past will inevitably shape our future, and it is the responsibility of the youth to carry forth, with pride, the great legacy of Kashmir. Koi bozu mion video sabrasan, buchos bar shukur guzar.
That video was from Nakul Dar. Again, these videos are in no particular order. Our next one will be from Rakshita Ganju.
Religion. In the world today, it can be quite a controversial word. While it is the word that has given people hope in times when suffering becomes unbearable, it is also the word that has spurred division and war since the beginning of human existence. But religion is not simple. For some, all of life's decisions should be made in the name of something beyond our understanding. For others, it's just the idea that something else is out there that constitutes his faith. As a Kashmiri Hindu, I hope to find how I fit into the vast narrative of my own faith. But as the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru once said, if we want to know something about the story of ourself, we must think of all the countries and all the people that have inhabited them, and not merely of the one story of our own. The Western world is dominated by the religions of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. These belief systems fall under the umbrella of Abrahamic religions, as they all stem from the common Israelite patriarch Abraham. Conversely, dharmic not only the obvious externalness of deities and specified worship, but also within their core fundamental ideologies. Perhaps a good place to start is to discuss the idea of truth. What is truth, and how do we find it? Well, for Abrahamic religions, truth is unchangeable and monolithic. Known as the Good News, the Torah, Bible, and Quran are guidelines targeted to structure humanity's moral compass. While Abrahamic religions clearly assert what constitutes as truth, dharmic religions propose followers to explore the multifaceted nature of truth. Therefore, the countless scriptures that exist in every dharmic belief system are meant to invoke devotees to think about morality as not simply a distinction between black and white, but rather an exploration of the gray area. In this way, dharmic religions cross over to become belief systems rooted in philosophy, opening up to be interpreted by its followers. Similarly, the role of love for God should come before anything else. This can be seen in the Bible, where in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus states that, "He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me, and he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me." Matthew chapter 10, verse 37. This Bible verse solidifies the idea that God in Abrahamic religions expects his followers to love him above all other people and things. However, in Dharmic religions, the relationship between Ganesha and Kartikeya who decide to see who can run around the universe 3 times the fastest. While Kartikeya blasts off to speed his way around the galaxy, Ganesha finds his parents and walks around them 3 times. Ganesha ultimately views his parents as his universe. This story depicts the larger entity of the universe as a godlike metaphor, making Ganesha's decision not only reflect the presence of God in his parents, but rather the fact that the importance of his parents supersedes all else. For Dharmic religions, God is not static in ideology or form. The fluidity of God in Dharmic belief systems bleeds its way into how those religions handle moral responsibility. This brings us to the idea of karma. Karma refers to the idea that every action we perform creates a sort of ripple effect in the universe, making self-accountability paramount in Dharmic belief systems and removed from God to an extent. Much like a boomerang, our actions will affect other people and will come back and affect us. For followers of Dharmic religions, our destiny is in part determined by our own actions, good and bad. Conversely, Abrahamic belief systems are built upon the idea that the repercussion of any action is determined by the external presence of God. Immoral actions are nullified by God if the person who has sinned repents, presenting God as having an infinite amount of mercy. Now that we have touched on the basic differences between Abrahamic and Dharmic religions, let's dive into Advaita Vedanta and Kashmiri Shaivism. Advaita Vedanta is the oldest of 6 orthodox schools of Hindu philosophy that has textual roots tracing back to the 8th century. The Sanskrit word Advaita literally translates to not two, referring to the non-dualist nature of Advaita Vedanta. And both Maya and that are considered part of a holistic truth. To further understand this idea, let's pretend we have in fact gone to sleep, and the material world we are seeing is a dream. According to Advaita Vedanta, everything in this dream is false and does nothing to represent the nature of the truth. But for followers of Kashmiri Shaivism, this dream is but a different level of perception of the true reality. The unchanging ground of awareness in Advaita Vedanta is a place of no activity or kriya. This is vastly different from Kashmiri Shaivism, which views this ground as having activity. The affirmation that seeking knowledge is an active process provide followers of Kashmiri Shaivism with agency over their own liberation. While moksha for both philosophies concludes that the human soul becomes one with God, the kriya associated with Kashmiri Shaivism affirms the individualistic nature of each human soul. Therefore, not only does Kashmiri Shaivism acknowledge that the world we see is real, it also confirms that we as individualistic beings exist. The Shiva in Advaita Vedanta is slightly different than that of Kashmiri Shaivism. Advaita Vedanta expresses Shiva to be someone that is physical and that has manifested himself into the world. Kashmiri Shaivism defines Shiva as a being, one who is pure, eternal, and infinite. The manifestation of Shiva into the world is from the cosmic part of Shiva, or Parama Shiva, to the limited human form, or Jiva. This cosmic evolution is explained by Advaita Vedanta through 25 elements, whereas in Kashmiri Shaivism, this is explained through 36 elements, or tattvas. While there are many differences between the two manifestations of Shiva onto the world, it is important to understand the fundamental difference in ideology here. For Advaita Vedanta, these 25 elements are immovable guidelines expressing Shiva's impact. However, for Kashmiri Shaivism, these guidelines are fluid. They believe that the number of tattvas can be synthesized even further, increasing or decreasing the number of them. This idea can be seen in the Trika system, where practitioners only use 3 tattvas in yoga meditation. The open nature of the 36 tattvas for Kashmiri Shaivism gives rooms for followers to interpret it in their own personal way. The topic of religion is as vast and expansive as an ocean bed. And while it is not difficult to grasp why societies believe in God, it is nearly impossible to understand why every religion is different. But perhaps what I have come to challenge is the definition of religion. You see, the word religion itself, if taken back to its roots in Latin, means to tie or to bind. This meaning does not fit into the ideology behind Kashmiri Shaivism at all. On the contrary, I think it's quite the opposite. Kashmiri Shaivism encourages us to open our minds to see that God cannot be thought of in the same binding laws of nature as humans are a part of. Perhaps we are meant to see that God is in every person, in every waterfall that flows to the ground, maybe even in the whisper of the trees. I have the freedom to apply my perspective. And perhaps the expansive nature of Kashmiri Shaivism is why it has stood the test of time, because it is in fact the very opposite of religion.
That video was by Rakshita Ganju. Our next one will be by Oshin Kaul. And again, could everyone in the back please quiet down? Thank you.
We all, at times, wonder about who we are, what this life is about, where this world comes from, and what the source of this silence is. Namaskar. My name is Oshin Kaul. I'm 19 years old and attend Penn State University. In today's video, I will be explaining the key differences between dharmic traditions and Abrahamic religions, and then between Advaita Vedanta and Kashmir Shaivism. Before I begin, I would like to say I'm no expert on these topics. This video is based purely off of research and my own opinions. To begin with, dharmic traditions and Abrahamic religions stem from two different parts of the world. Dharmic traditions include Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism, and stem from India. Abrahamic religions include Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, and stem from the Middle East. There are four major points that encompass most of the differences between these two worldviews that I will be explaining further. One worldview is based on the assumed revelations of God, and the other worldview is based off of the principles of dharma. The word dharmic means abiding by the principles that which sustain the world, while the word Abrahamic stems from those who revere the first patriarch, Abraham. First is the concept of being separate from the Creator versus one with the Creator. The two traditions differ in their theories of creation of this world. Abrahamic religions believe that God created this world as distinct from himself. This leads them to believe that an individual can never be one with the Creator, and this idea is known as dualism. Contrarily, dharmic religions believe that through attaining moksha, an individual can become one with the Creator. This idea that the Creator and the creation sprung from the same source and are essentially one is known as non-dualism, or Advaita. Abrahamic religions do not support this concept of self-realization because to them there is no divine self to realize, since Creator and his creation will always be inherently separate. Another paramount dissimilarity is the concept of God. In Abrahamic religions, the people look up to one God. This God is the sole creator of the universe and is represented as a male. God has a plan, and humans need to follow that plan. Meanwhile, in dharmic traditions, there are multiple narratives of the one ultimate reality. These differences lead people to understand God in their own distinct ways and include both males and females as gods and goddesses. This plural understanding of God leads to a variety of ways which one can attain godhood. God is seen more as a state than a person. This outlook negates the need for any religious conversions. Additionally, another major point of distinction is the concept of salvation versus moksha. The two traditions differ when it comes to the ultimate purpose of life. Abrahamic religions believe the purpose of this life is to be saved from all sin, and that each individual should do everything possible in order to make this happen. This is known as salvation theology. This purpose of salvation leads people of this faith to believe that each individual has only one linear life. They believe that after this one life, the individual is placed into either heaven with the angels or hell with Satan. On the other hand, Dharmic traditions believe that the ultimate purpose of life is to attain moksha, a state of enlightenment. Dharmic traditions believe that each individual lives multiple lives and is reincarnated after each one based off of their karma. This concept is cyclical in nature rather than linear. Once one attains moksha, one is broken free from the cycle of deaths and rebirths and is at peace. Here's a small snippet by Carl Sagan describing this phenomenon.
The Hindu religion is the only one of the world's great faiths dedicated to the idea that the cosmos itself undergoes an immense, indeed an infinite, number of deaths and rebirths. The only religion in which the timescales correspond, no doubt by accident, to those of modern.
The fourth and last major point of distinction is the use of rules versus tools. As aforementioned, in Abrahamic religions, everything goes back to the sole purpose of salvaging oneself from sin. They rely on a single text in order to deliver their messages to the masses and to keep them from committing sin. These texts explain how the Creator created everything in this world and then go on to define a set of rules for the people to follow. If an individual does not follow these rules, it is dualistic Dharmic traditions. At their core, they're both trying to explain the universe, how we came to be, and the purpose of our existence. Both believe that through spiritual practice, one can become one with the Creator of the universe. Both accept this absolute, undifferentiated consciousness as the ultimate reality of life. In Advaita Vedanta, the ultimate reality is called Nirguna Brahman. According to this tradition, Brahman is unborn and is always present. It is in a state of eternal observation. It takes no shape or form, which is known as Nirakara. It possesses no qualities, which is known as Nirguna. It possesses no dynamism, which is Nishkriya. Brahman is constant, always remaining unchanging and ever present in this world. But then you may ask, characterized by three gunas. Dynamics are separate from the Brahman. Vedanta says that this Maya is what creates Akara, Gunas, and Kriya, all which give rise to Saguna Brahman, or Ishvara, which is Brahman with Gunas. Maya deludes an individual and makes Ishvara believe that it is manifesting the universe. But this is Ishvara's illusion. Ishvara is only Sakshi, or witness, to Maya. The ultimate reality is that there is nothing else but Nirguna Brahman. This is why Maya is present only in the beginning, but not at the end for an enlightened person. According to Vedanta, the universe came to be through 25 tattvas, or building blocks. These building blocks descend from subtle to gross realities. The first two tattvas are Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is one's inner self and is a derivative of Brahman. Meanwhile, Prakriti is one's outer world and is a derivative of Maya. Tattvas 3 to 25 account for the ahamkara, or ego, manas, or mind, our cognitive faculties, and other gross elements. These tattvas are the manifestation of Maya in the physical world, and once an individual becomes enlightened, Maya dissolves. From a Vedantic standpoint, the path to liberation is threefold: hearing the teaching with the receptive mind, Shravana, deeply thinking about it, Manana, and meditating on it consistently, Nidhyasana, until Samadhi, or full realization. Yogic practices are also known to be helpful. And now begins the story of Kashmir Shaivism. In Kashmir Shaivism, the ultimate reality is called Paramashiva. According to this tradition, Paramashiva is also unborn, always present, Nirakara, Nirguna, and Nishkriya. However, where Brahman is inert, Paramashiva is dynamic. This dynamism comes from the Shakti power of Shiva. An important point here is while Brahman of Advaita Vedanta is illuminant, it is not illuminant of itself, whereas Paramashiva is. Paramashiva does not just observe, it is everything that is. In Shaivism, there are 36 tattvas. These tattvas are a manifestation of Paramashiva, the ultimate reality. The first 5 tattvas represent divine consciousness and are non-dualistic in nature. Shiva and Shakti are two sides of the same coin. They are light and self-awareness. Tattvas 3, 4, and 5 are Shiva's different moods. At the 6th tattva is where Shiva, who is perfect oneness, separates himself. While Maya is introduced as an external force in Advaita Vedanta, this contraction of Shiva is known as Maya in Kashmir Shaivism. Tattvas 7 to 11 are known as the Kanchikas, or limitations. These limitations show that each individual has the same power as Shiva, but in a disguised form because of Maya, the ultimate delusion. Tattva 7, the first Kanchika, is Kala, or the limited ability to do things. Tattva 8 is Vidya, or the limited knowledge. Tattva 9 is Raga, or desire. Tattva 10 is Kalyans in Advaita Vedanta. It is crucial to note that these extra 11 tattvas in Kashmir Shaivism are what differentiate it from Advaita Vedanta and explain how Maya is incorporated as one of the tattvas, rather than an external entity. Kashmir Shaivism also includes the concept of malas and upayas. Malas represent when Shiva becomes a bounded being through the process of contraction. Upayas are the means by which an individual being returns to its Parama Shiva nature through the process of expansion. The difference in the process of attaining moksha is that Kashmir Shaivism does not make it a prerequisite to renounce the world. An individual does not have to shun all worldly pleasures, as they are not seen as hindrances in the spiritual path. Liberation is not seen as an escape from the world, but rather a reminder to live life fully. Now, my take. Making this video has been a learning process for me. What I have realized along the way is that this is not a study of religion.